What's up, y'all? Peace and light and love. I'm just coming off of my nature walk, and I gotta tell y'all, it's really been a powerful, reflective time. And then I've been hearing a lot of downloads that come through with a lot of these animals. You know, the spirit animals is real when you out here taking this walk and you out and about. And so the other day I saw these 3 blue jays that came popping up. And one of the things I forgot to share is that, like, when blue jays show up for me and in my experience, they have been given like a message to me that you about to learn something, you about to get some information is in. And true to that, after the fact is when I got some really promising information. And so if you don't know, like, I've been going through a change or two in these particular streets, no doubt. And so a lot of us that are a part of the 144 have been going through these changes, these challenges, these trials and everything. And I do realize that all of these challenges, they're happening for me, not to me, right? And so this has really been a time for me to hit the reset button, no doubt. For me to jump onto a higher timeline. And with that, a lot of folks just ain't coming along. And that's just how that goes. And as badly as I would have liked for some of those cats to come along, it's just not possible, because I don't have the control over how someone else's free will goes. And so that's how that goes. And so as I start moving forward and everything, I started really like reflecting on like how I can do things differently when I'm moving forward and everything. And I heard in my mind's ear, you be careful on how you tread them shallow waters, because sometimes there's alligators laying and waiting. And that gave me a pause for the cause. See, I heard that shit before, right? Like many years ago, but I didn't really take it in all the way, right? I kind of like dismissed it, you know? I'm thinking this is, you know, a quirk and everything. Now, as I began maturing spiritually, I started realizing that this is the divine trying to give me some guidance, and my fool ass wasn't even really trying to get it. You know, understand? But this time, I'm catching this particular lesson. And so when we dealing with these shallow waters, you understand what I'm saying? This is when we thinking we doing something lightheartedly. We making jokes and shit like that, and folks may be offended by what it is that you saying. And so with that, they holding some type of resentment at the end of the day. And so being aware of that and being like highly sensitive, this is more about like emotional intelligence and speaking to that and everything, right? This is one of those hard lessons and hard truths that I really had to get a hold of. And so with that, the divine is really getting me to recognize that on this new timeline, like to be a little bit more mindful about how people is operating, and also about how folks is handling me as well. You understand? Like a lot of them little side jokes that folks like to poke in, little side jabs and everything, instead of letting that shit slide, you know? Notice on TikTok, you know, one of them big things where people is calling you bitches and everything when they, you know, doing the readings, and they, bitch, this is coming for you, and you know what I'm saying, let me tell you something, ho, and all of that type of conversation and everything, right? And I ain't never really been a fan of that, especially with nobody that ain't really no friend of mine and shit calling me no names like that and everything. It seemed like it just opens the door to some fuckery later on down the line. That's just how I see it, you understand? And so with that, I'm gonna just really make sure that if I'm in those instances, I realize that this is a cultural thing, you know what I'm saying? And maybe, you know, I'm 50, I'm from the old school and everything, that shit, it just don't sit right for me. And I'm not going to be offended when somebody does that directly, because, you know, they don't know. This is how folks has been operating and everything. But I will take offense if I told you not to say that shit and not call me no bitch and call me out of my name and you try to do that shit again. Now we got a fucking problem. However, I do recognize that this is how folks is joking and bullshitting and messing around and everything. And so I got to be a little bit more mindful and sensitive on how I navigate situations like that because I see it differently. And so with that, you know, Divine is definitely giving me guidance to make sure that I'm taking it easy out here in these streets on these folks out here in these particular streets, so that I ain't really creating a situation, setting the stage for unwanted resentments and shit like that, where people start feeling disrespected, because that's never what my intention is. But it is my intention to make sure that we draw the line and make sure that we got these firm boundaries established. No doubt about it. So anyway, that's what the reflection that I got out there walking in nature and everything. Thought I'd share that with you and everything. I hope your day is going beautiful. Have a most auspicious day. Shouting out to that A-team, no doubt about it. They come through. Damn, these roads is fucked up in some profoundly auspicious ways. Have a beautiful day. Peace and light. Peace and love.